Hi, my name's Judd Videto. I'm a veterinarian from Countryside Vet Service in Somerset, Michigan, which is south of Jackson. I was excited to talk about today the basics of beef, cow, and calf management from a veterinary perspective. And it was exciting to talk about because it gets so complicated sometimes, and to take a step back and look at the basics, I think is important for all of us. Nutrition can get very complicated, and I think that if we were to simplify it and look at the cow instead of always looking at what's on paper, we would learn a lot more or be more aware of what's going on. For example, the body condition score, how much flesh that cow has, is very important. There's a score from 1 to 10, 10 being obese, 1 being emaciated, that we can score our animals on. And we like to have those cows right around a 6. And the reason is, if we have a cow that's too thin, she doesn't cycle, she doesn't come into heat, and that's not good when she needs to get pregnant and have a calf. On the other end of the spectrum, when a cow gets too fat, we see problems with the birthing process and metabolic problems too. So it's easy to get confused by body condition score because we see long hair in the winter, we see big bellies down low, but there are a lot of good websites to look at to see how much covers over the ribs, over the bones, on the hips, and sometimes it's good to touch the animal and feel how sharp those bones are, how much padding's there. So body condition score is there's a lost art there, and it's important. Another basic veterinary perspective thing right now is immunity. We all question when to vaccinate our animals, how to vaccinate our animals, and we look at there's so many different options, and so if we understand the basics of immunity, we can make better decisions on when and how to vaccinate, when and how to process our calves. So our calves can have an adult immune system at about 5 or 6 months of age, and we can sometimes vaccinate before that and still get a good response but not get an adult response. Stress, there are a number of different stressors, but if we can reduce those stressors, we can have a better response to our vaccine. We certainly don't want to use more vaccines than necessary on our farm because that is a stress, and the immune system has a hard time picking out one disease over another. So we need to be paying attention on not stressing our animals, and when and what to vaccinate with. And then the last thing, I think, as far as keeping it simple with our cow-calf or feedlots, would be taking samples. We have a lot of different sources of information, a lot of different ideas out there, but we can simplifying it by taking the right samples. For example, this time of year, we got our cows on grass, our calves on grass. We sometimes have problems with roundworms and parasites that they're taking up from the pasture. The question is, do I need to worm or do I not? There's a simple solution. You take a sample of manure, put it in a baggie, and drop it off at your vet clinic. And for us, $25 is going to answer that question for you. No longer is it your neighbor's opinion, but you have concrete evidence on what's going on with your animal. And that's true with a lot of other aspects of it. There's a lot of samples we can take. Liver samples to evaluate mineral status. We can take nasal samples to see what's causing pneumonia in our calves. But I think that simplifying it, getting answers, taking samples is a good way to simplify that.
With Brownfield TV, I'm Nicole Heslip reporting.